Hey everyone! The Xiaomi Mi 8 is a really popular phone, but if you want to spare some money, you should look at the Xiaomi Mi 8 SE. A cheaper phone means fewer options. So, is this a good phone to get, or are you giving up too many features? I'm Angie for GSMARENA, and this is our Xiaomi Mi 8 SE review. The Xiaomi Mi 8 SE has a Gorilla Glass 5 back and a metal frame with a matte texture. Surprisingly, despite the glass, fingerprints aren't too noticeable. Even though it's the gold variant, the phone's color is actually more pinkish in color than its name suggests. Still, it's not garish and it's a great looking device. The fingerprint reader is lightning fast and easy to reach. There's a face unlock option too. The Mi 8 SE can be very comfortable to use one-handed, but it depends on how you hold the phone. The glass back is very slippery, but the sides allow for a good grip. Still, you might want to use the case in the box. Sadly, there's no notification LED. The Mi 8 SE feels sturdy, but there's no IP-rated protection. On the front of the phone is a rather wide notch that you can thankfully hide with black strips on both sides. It doesn't cut into content, but that's only because you can't expand videos to fit full screen if they're not the right ratio. Still, if you can get over that, the screen is a beauty. The nearly 5.9-inch Super AMOLED display has excellent contrast and is certified for HDR10 video. It also gets plenty bright and sunlight legibility is not an issue. Color reproduction is really accurate in the standard contrast mode, but the adaptive contrast mode is fine too, especially if you're a fan of more vibrant, punchy colors. The Mi 8 SE has a single bottom-firing speaker that gets really loud. Unfortunately, it also gets pretty distorted, especially with higher-pitched sounds. There's also no headphone jack, so you need to use a dongle. Unsurprisingly, there's no FM radio on board either. Sound through headphones is less distorted than on the speakers, but its loudness is way below average. Surprisingly, even with a missing headphone jack, there's no NFC on this phone. The phone comes with either 64 or 128GB of storage, but it has no expandable card slot. The phone packs a 3120 mAh battery. It got a good 86-hour endurance rating in our battery life tests. Of course, even when the battery fell to zero, it wasn't much of a problem because the phone supports Quick Charge 3.0. The Mi 8 SE is the first phone with the Snapdragon 710 chipset, and it occupies a niche of its own. In terms of performance, this chipset sits squarely between the flagship Snapdragon 835 and the mid-range Snapdragon 660. In multi-core tests, it ranks higher than most devices with the Snapdragon 660, while being more power frugal. The phone handled heavy games with ease, and the 4GB of RAM was more than enough for heavy multitasking. The Mi 8 SE sports Android Oreo 8.1 with MIUI on top. It's not exactly a minimal UI, but you don't feel a slowdown. It comes with a ton of preloaded tools, which can be useful. For example, unlike the regular Mi 8, there is an IR blaster on the top of the phone, and you'll find the Mi Remote among the included apps. The phone also includes a security app that both protects and optimizes your device. One of my favorite features is gesture navigation, which saves you some screen space and allows you to ditch the navigation bar. Third-party launchers can give you an app drawer, but you will lose the notes and shortcuts shelf on the side. If you don't want to change the look of the phone that much, there's also a theme store. That brings me to the biggest issue with the software. Some parts of the phone might still be in Chinese and you might have to download the Play Store itself. If you're buying this phone for someone who is technologically challenged, you should really set it up for them before giving it to them. For now, we don't know when the global ROMs will be released, so there's going to be some things that are still in Chinese. The Xiaomi Mi 8 SE gets a 12-megapixel main shooter and a 5-megapixel secondary camera for better depth sensing. It's a step down from the Mi 8 and lacks OIS, though in daylight photos are acceptable and far from potato quality. Still, they're far from perfect too. There's a little too much noise for my liking and photos are a little soft. Colors are a bit oversaturated too. Dynamic range is limited, but HDR helps with that. Surprisingly, the AI mode made photos look better 90% of the time, so I suggest you just leave it on. Low-light photos are alright, but once again they're garnished with a noticeable amount of noise. You'll also need a steady hand or a tripod to get more keepers after dark, because the shutter speed can get low and camera shake can be a real issue. Portraits are decent, but occasionally we had inconsistent face detection, so once again it's good to take more than one shot. 4K video is great. It offers excellent detail and plenty of dynamic range, though colors are still a bit too oversaturated for our liking. The phone technically supports EIS for 4K, but the footage doesn't show much difference, if any. This might be a bug, but for now it's better to use Full HD for better stabilized footage. And if you're worried about detail loss from the resolution drop, well, while it's not as good as 4K, 1080p gets you plenty of detail and good dynamic range. The selfie camera is a 20-megapixel snapper with an f2.0 aperture. Selfies are high quality and have good colors and detail. Selfie video maxes out at 1080p and quality is pretty good. Xiaomi is really pushing the limits of the word mid-ranger with the Xiaomi Mi 8 SE. This phone has good performance, good battery life, and it's made well. Yeah, the camera isn't quite as good as the Mi 8's, but it still performs respectably. In fact, its biggest flaw might be that it lacks certain features that are present on other mid-rangers, like a headphone jack, an FM radio, and an expandable card slot. These are things that are more likely to be missed by those who are on a budget and don't want to spend extra money on things like new Bluetooth headphones. Still, if you can forgive these faults, this is one of the best phones that you'll find in this price range, and we definitely recommend it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button down below, and subscribe and hit the bell icon to get our latest tech reviews as soon as they're out. See you next time.